Hello friends, I welcome you all on my channel, The Opinion Platform. Today I'm in conversation with Dr. Chandra Sen, who is an assistant professor of political science at Galgotia University. Few days ago, tax issue has come in the headline. Indian Overseas Congress Chief Sam Pitroda had given one statement in which he is said to have claimed that if India alliance under the leadership of the Congress comes in the power, inheritance tax law will be made and passed, and this issue was picked up by the ruling party, by the BJP, by the top leader of BJP, by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. And he started to speak about inheritance tax in such a way that he openly said, oversimplifying the issue in one of his rallies, that if any person has two buffaloes, one buffalo will be snatched by the Congress government, and no two persons or persons will not be allowed to have certain limits of resources, certain limits of wealth, and this limit will be severely imposed upon the people. This issue was discussed mostly in a funny manner. The way serious discussions should have happened around this issue did not take place in India. But serious discussion around serious issues is very rare. That happens today even in the parliament. To speak on such issue, we have Dr. Chandra Sen, who would throw light as how the discussion in the politics in India takes place around laws, around policies in relation to the common people of India. Chandra Sen, I welcome you on my channel.
Thank you.
My first question to you would be that how do you see briefly this agenda relating to economics, relating to such as tax system in the country, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself beats his chest by saying that 80 crore of people are provided with the rations, basic rations of 5 kg. How do you see the tax debate in such country?
Thank you for initiating such important issue, because the tax, particularly inheritance tax, which came last week, and it has been sidelined by Congress, and in academia it has been presented in such a way that if Indian Alliance or the Congress, they came into the power in 2024, they are going to snatch each and everything from everyone, starting from the workers, from the women, the Mangal Sutra, from the middle class. But I would say that inheritance tax is more than that. It's not so simplified that if this tax comes, that it will loot, it will snatch whatever the middle class or the common people of this country have. Rather, this inheritance tax is basically focusing on, if we see the global debate, it's a debate among the highly industrialized countries, where the top industrial groups are the billionaires who have garnered so much money. Then in the European societies and the East Asian society, particularly in Japanese and Korean societies, state, they basically put some taxes on them, not some taxes. If we see the example of Korea, South Korea, Japan, it's 55% tax on the top industrialists, which are rarely 1%, 1 or 2%. So when this debate started in India, the opposition and the media, they have projected it that they are going to tax on each and everyone. But the tax which is in the debate, and the Congress did not take up it, and they sidelined from the Sam Pitroda, that nothing is going to do. There is no such thing mentioned in our manifesto. Of course, there is nothing such things mentioned in the manifesto, but the opposition, particularly the BJP and the leadership of BJP, they have been targeting Congress and Indian Alliance, that they are going to heavily tax and snatch each and everything from the common masses of the people, which is nonsense, which is wrong. We need to discuss this tax in more detail, more understanding, more data needs to be discussed, where we can find where most of the resources are there, how the common masses are living day to day, which we will be discussing in your interview.
Why do you think Sam Pitroda would have spoken such serious issue in the middle of election process, when Sam Pitroda as an Indian knows very much the society, Indian society, the feudal Indian society? Why would he take risk of bombarding this issue in the middle of election, despite realizing or having a sense that even his own party might not back up his statement? In fact, the way Sam Pitroda, who is said to be the Guruji of Rahul Gandhi himself, it is said about Sam Pitroda that Rahul Gandhi's political acumen is largely trained under Sam Pitroda's supervision. Why, despite having a sense that he may be sidelined for speaking such issues, inheritance such as inheritance tax, he took the risk and then he was sidelined as well? Why would he speak?
See, this is not a new issue in India. If we go back to history, the first Prime Minister of this country, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he came with such idea, and there was a tax like state duty, which is more close to the inheritance tax in this country. But we should know that because this is related to property, where the land owning community of this country, which is sociologically upper caste communities, he owns so much land in this country. They do not want to lose that property. So that's the first phase of our election 1952-1953. So first time Nehru government, they came with such wealth tax and duty tax in 1953. I would like to say that this property right was earlier the fundamental right in this country, and we should know that the first amendment of our constitution was on the property issue. So because when this land reform started in this country, all the land owning community, they went to the Supreme Court and they said that this is the breach of our fundamental right. So Nehru was forced, and he strategically came with a issue that we have to redistribute the resources, because there is huge gap between the masses of this country and the minority elite class, feudal class of the society. So he put land property issue in the 9th schedule. So then there was a strategy by the land owning community that they used to transfer the money to their kith and kin relative in the form of a gift tax. So Nehru came once again with 1957 Act, where he says that we should impose taxes on gift. So these issues are very much from Indian politics its starting days, but due to many complexities, due to socio-political condition of this country, in 1985 the Congress, the Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, he scribed this act in 1985. So it is not just new issue, but of course in 2024, when Sam Pitroda raised such issue, BJP and the media, they have taken up this issue, and they came with such narrative where they try to put opposition and Congress that in a way that they are going to do some big harm to the common masses of the society, which is I would say that they are presenting it in wrong way. So more debate needs to be debated on such important issues.
No, another question is that the way the title inheritance tax, it appears more as a subject of economics, as a topic within the economics subject. But why this tax issue in India is largely debated? Whenever there is any discussion around any form of tax, either it is GST by the UPA 1 and 2, which was later on passed by the BJP government, Modi government, it is more popular in political domain and less popular in the domain of economists and economics. Why do you think so?
we should keep this in mind that when Arun Jaitley was the finance minister of this country, he basically emphasized that in future we should come with certain kind of tax. So it was not new for BJP and Congress. It was the BJP, and they were discussing that certain tax should be levied on the industrialist classes, billionaire, so that we can channelize those resources to the common masses, which has been pauperized, so that's one issue of redistribution. But of course, this issue, let's take this issue from the manifesto of Indian National Congress. Since Rahul Gandhi has been targeting both BJP and the Indian society, that this society has not given equal representation to the masses. Masses means the Dalit Bahujan class in the society. There is no representation in media, there is no representation in bureaucracy or any higher education or the decision making body of this country. So that one issue has been raised by Rahul Gandhi. So that's one question which is talking about the representation. He is constantly talking about the reservation, in that sense that we will ascribe the cap of 50%. We will increase a reservation for women, 50% reservation for women. We will come with certain measure where we can have reservation in the private sector. So reservation and representation. Now Rahul Gandhi is saying that we will put certain amount of we will take certain amount of money from the Adani Ambani, who has been given by the BJP government, and that money will be redistributed among the poor section of the society. So Rahul Gandhi has constantly talking about what I would like to say in the famous scholar Nancy Fraser, where she says that to do justice in the society, we need to do 3 R in the society. Number 1 R is reservation, second R is representation, and third R is redistribution of resources. So those section of the society, the marginalized section who has been marginalized, so they should come in the mainstream. So that is representation and reservation. For reservation and representation, you have to give them certain economic benefit as well, because this society is economically divided so sharply, where a certain section of the society who has captured all the resources. So to benefit this section who is majority, we need to tax, we need to come with certain welfare mechanism where we can benefit those sections, because these sections are very huge in the society. And this 21st century India is not limited only emotional issues of reservation and representation, only sloganing and giving space in the textbook, or building some statues of Dr. Ambedkar or Birsa Munda. The Dalit and OBC section or the tribal section, they are not satisfied. They need their share in economy. So for that, they need certain economic measure where state can do. So in that sense, Rahul Gandhi has been putting forward those issues. In that context, Sanpit Rota has come with this measure. If we can come with certain measure like inheritance tax, where benefit can be given and economic redistribution can be given to the marginalized section of society. So it's in continuity.
Why do you think the Prime Minister Narendra Modi got agitated just after listening this agenda coming from the Congress party of inheritance tax? He himself claims, Prime Minister Modi himself claims of being the supreme leader of the marginalized sections, poor sections, SC, ST, OBCs. In fact, recently Prime Minister Modi has given a statement that he does not hate Muslims. He wants real change in the Muslims, in Muslim society, and he says that global Muslims are changing. So Indian Muslims must think of change. Why Prime Minister Modi got agitated or gets disturbed when he hears such issues such as inheritance tax?
See, this we can trace this thing from the BJP history. First time when there was something came for the larger section of the society, which is known as OBC in this country. So OBC reservation and Mandal Commission when came, it not talk only about about the reservation of the OBC section. It talks about the land reform of the OBC section in Mandal Commission. So first time in 1990s when Mandal Commission came, the BJP and that the current leadership of that time, they were agitated and they diverted those issues at that time, and they raised the issues of Ram Mandir, and the whole issue has been diverted because it directly talking about the representation and redistribution of OBC section at that time. So in 2024, I would like to see the same thing which is happening in this country. When the inheritance tax came into debate, Modi got agitated because the opposition leader and the Rahul Gandhi, they have been constantly targeting that Modi is giving benefit to his friend, industrial friend. There are the list of 22 friends who have been benefited during 1 decade rule of BJP government. So who are these friends of Modi? These friends are the billionaires of this country who have exploited the natural resources of this country. So Modi is basically protecting the rights of the big bourgeois classes of this country, and we have seen their contribution in BJP electoral bond. So if someone is targeting in the interest of the industrialist and Adani Ambani, of course it will bring certain kind of anxiety in Modi and the BJP government. So that's what Modi has been doing in this country.
Rahul Gandhi takes moral high ground against Prime Minister Modi in the name of saying that Prime Minister Modi is putting all money that should have gone to the common people of this country into the pockets of his two friends, Ambani and Adani. But Rahul Gandhi, don't you think himself got afraid the moment Modi started attacking Congress after the rise of inheritance tax issue? Do you think Rahul Gandhi is also somewhere afraid of discussing such issues among public in his rallies? Or do you think Rahul Gandhi is also, like all political leaders in the rallies, befooling the common masses by saying that bring Congress in power, I will do justice? If he was so sincere, he should not have replaced Sam Pitroda.
We need to, for this question to understand, we need to understand the nature of Indian society. One side, Indian society has been facing the brunt of capitalism in this country, which started in 1990s. LPG came into that form. So that one class has been developed in this country who has appropriated lot of the resources of this nation. But other side, the Indian society is very much feudal societies, where the feudal landlord, they don't want to lose their power. So feudal landlords, they don't want to lose their power. The industrialists, they don't want to lose the power. So if they are losing the powers will go directly to the marginalized section of the society. If we try to understand the basic social composition of Congress party, or for that matter BJP, these both feudal and the elite section are very much dominant in both BJP and Congress. If Congress is, or Rahul Gandhi is so much sincere putting forward the issues of marginalized section, first thing he will be facing from his own party, feudal and the industrial section of his society, his party. So of course there is one threat which is not only from the BJP and the Prime Minister Modi, but there is a section in the Congress party which has this tendency of capturing all the social spaces and economic spaces in this country. So if something is coming which is going to change structurally this society, so that is also going to disturb the basic structure of Congress party. So it's a tough fight which is Rahul Gandhi is waging. If Rahul Gandhi does so, he is going to become the hero. He is one side he can become the hero, one side he can become the villain of this society. So this risk is there because we know the society and we can find that replica in the both the political parties as well. So that risk is there.
You have given Rahul Gandhi benefit of doubt because if he is the leader and if he is not able to convince his own leaders within the party, how will he establish a common consensus among public for the implementation of such laws, even if he has some sense of equality in the society through the means of providing wealth, disproportionate wealth to the people. Getting afraid every time will not help Rahul Gandhi.
Of course, this has been the history. This is the history of Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister of this country, Pandit Nehru. This was a risk with Indira Gandhi. That was the risk with Rajiv Gandhi. And in some context, Prime Minister Nehru has taken certain steps like land reform, which was not successful. But if we go to the era of Indira Gandhi, and of course Indira Gandhi has done blunder and harm to the Indian democracy while imposing emergency. But one thing Indira Gandhi has done very courageously, sidelining all the landlords of this country, sidelining all the big bosses of her party, where she did the nationalization of the bank and the natural resources of this country. So that courage Indira Gandhi has done, and that is the history. We should analyze that history. So that has been done in this society. So there are the leaders who basically, let's go to UP government during the BSP rule. I would like to give a point of UP government, where UP government came, BSP government came with the support of Brahmin alliances in 2007. And what BSP has done, nobody has done in this country, because Kanchi Ram and the BSP, they have given the land to the landless, because there was a slogan by BSP government that those land which are the land of government, those land belongs to SC, ST and OBC. जो जमीन सरकारी है वो जमीन हमारी है. So of course there was a pressure from the dominant caste and community which were the part of BSP government at that time. So there are lots of example in Indian politics, starting from Nehru to Indira Gandhi to BSP government, where leaders, if they have conviction and they start doing in certain measure where they find their constituencies and they want to do something bigger, they have been successfully done those things. So in that line, if Rahul Gandhi is following those history, of course he will face some hurdle, but if the government come into the power, he can take the driving seat and he can implement those things in the society.
The way inheritance tax issue has been raised, discussed, problematized in media, in mainstream media, the way Sam Pitroda has been removed from his Indian Overseas Congress chief to appease against the criticism of Prime Minister Modi, listening the criticism of Prime Minister Modi. Do you think that Rahul Gandhi also believes, like most of the leaders of this country, that common people, poor people, marginalized people, people belonging to SC, ST, OBCs, minorities, they do not have any sense of the wealth distribution or tax distribution? Because the way Rahul Gandhi is speaking about redistribution of wealth, it is, see, in politics nobody is a saint, nobody is a sadhu. Rahul Gandhi is also speaking certain things to get votes. But the way this issue has been, inheritance tax has been sidelined, it indirectly proves that Rahul Gandhi does not much trust upon the common people mandate. He does not believe on the poor people's debate, who might look towards Rahul Gandhi from a heroic perspective. Because if he would have been adamant that no, we will implement it no matter what is the mandate. So do you also think that common people of this country are unable to understand their own genuine issues?
See, the kind of debate which started after the statement given by Sam Pitroda, the first reaction came from BJP and Prime Minister Modi, where he says that if India Alliance come into power, they will snatch your Mangal Sutra. So, if this statement the Prime Minister of this country is saying, it is, I would say, it is directly insult to the women of this nation. Where if you are saying that if inheritance tax come, they will snatch your Mangal Sutra, meaning the women of this country, they don't understand the logic, merit and demerit of inheritance tax. So this is one understanding where comes from the current ruling party. Second understanding which comes from the Congress and the sideline, the way they have been sidelined, this is this is their perception and their understanding that now the debate is open. First time in last 30 years, 40 years, 85 onwards, this debate is open. This has come. So they are very calculative and they don't want to take the risk. So my submission is that if we see the whole election manifesto of Indian National Congress, the kind of debate today is there across the country. The reservation debate is very much in the mainstream. The representation of Dalit OBC in media and the judiciary is very much there. Can you tell me when was this debate in the public in the history? First time it started in 1990 when Mandal Commission came. Earlier there was no debate. So after 1990s, the Dalit OBC section of the society, the tribal of this society, they have forced ruling elite, social elite of this country to take up those issues. So my understanding is that of course this inheritance tax is directly going to benefit the working class of these people. They are going to directly benefit to the middle class of these people. So if they are unaware what the mainstream political party thinks, so let them take the time. One day I would say the next 2029 election or later on, this debate will happen. This is because this country is going in a way where there is no land reform, there is no equal redistribution of resources. If we go by data, 41% of Dalit this country, they are landless. 40% of industrialists, they have captured the resources of this country. So 40% industrialists, if they have captured the resources of this country, where the masses will go? Where 41% who are the landless Dalit of this country, where will be they benefited? They cannot be benefited by merely reservation in this country, because we know the history of reservation, that only 7 to 8% reservation is hardly implemented in this country. So reservation is a policy which is must, but we must go beyond to the reservation. And Indian National Congress and the opposition, they are talking about representation, redistribution of resources. So they are going beyond to reservation, and the masses should understand, and they must realize that this 21st century where new challenges are coming, privatization is happening. You cannot go directly to private university where you can teach your children very easily. The fee is too much that a middle class parents cannot afford to his son and daughters, because the public institutions are being targeted in this country. So this debate is started. I would say that in coming future, this is the future of this country. One day, because I have data across the world where we can find that most of the European and Asian countries, they have implemented inheritance tax across the world. Japan 55%, South Korea 50%, France 45%, United Kingdom 40%, United States 40%, Spain 34%, Belgium 30%. The list is so long. So if Europe has adopted this capitalist model, the India is going the same way. So they have adopted the capitalist model, we are also adopting the capitalist model. If they are implementing such taxes, that India is bound to implement those taxes. If not today, tomorrow they will have to implement such taxes in this country.
Do you think, apart from India alliance, apart only the Congress has the ability to at least bring forward such issues like inheritance tax? Why other parties, even who are the part of India alliance itself, like Samajwadi Party, RJD, all these parties did not come forward to stand in support of Rahul Gandhi defending this issue, whereas on all other matters, all these parties seem to be unitedly standing behind Rahul Gandhi, and Rahul Gandhi, like a rock leader campaigning against BJP, But why not? Do you believe that RJD leaders, political parties like RJD, SP, BSP, these parties too have some understanding about such serious issues like inheritance tax?
I would differentiate between BSP and the socialist parties of this country because I've earlier mentioned that BSP has successfully implemented and they have some economic agenda in this country. But if we go to socialist parties like Samajwadi Party or RJD or NCP or RLDs, they basically we don't find in their manifestos, in their history, certain kind of measures to be given to the landless of this country. So there is a sharp differences between socialist and Bahujan Samaj Party. So that's number one point. But of course, the way you are putting the questions, then why these the parties who claim themselves as the parties of the marginalized section, because this tax is going to help directly to the marginalized section of the society. Why aren't they taking up certain issues? Because see, sometimes they take up certain issues which mainstream media, which does not like to highlight those issues. The case is very much with BSP. But of course, we can find in Samajwadi Party and RJD these issues are liking there because they see the tragedy of Samajwadi Party. Even Akhilesh Yadav does not understand before 2014 the caste issue in this country. When his party got defeated and BJP government came, and when his chair was washed with Ganga Jal, then
Entire CM house
was washed with Ganga Jal, then he came to realize and Gomutra, and then he came to realize that okay, I belong to Shudra communities. So it's irony that these political parties, they claim to the party of OBC and the Dalit Bahujan parties, but before 2014 they were against the Dalit. What is the history of Samajwadi Party? We know very much in this country that they oppose the reservation in promotion, they want to bulldoze the Dalit Prerna Asthal. So that has been the history of Samajwadi Party in this country. Of course, RJD has been taking up the issue of reservation in their state legislative assembly. The way Mohan Bhagwat has given the statement and the whole debate turned into reservation, and RJD was very much successful in defeating BJP and their alliances, and they garnered too much vote. So they started talking about the reservation. They have to go from reservation representation to redistribution. So they have to take certain time. At least they started realizing that they belong to certain section of the society which has been excluded on the basis of caste. So first they started accepting those facts. Now they are talking about the reservation and representation, them in the media houses and the reservation. So the way Nancy Fraser puts it, that you have to recognize, then you have to give reservation, then representation, then last stage is redistribution of the resources. So Congress and Rahul Gandhi and Sam Pitroda, we understand Sam Pitroda because he is sitting in United States of America, which is a mature democracy where they have been talking each and every issues in where the black life matters is certain kind of issues where you cannot avoid. So that politics is quite different from the Indian politics. So he understands the nature of capitalism, how the capitalism has been exploiting the natural resources. So in that context, he has been giving this statement. So in Indian context, it will take time, and they have been realizing it, and I'm sure in coming decades or in years, they will definitely take up this issue.
The last question of today I will ask you, do you think the ill policies of the government are leading to marginalization of the common people, more marginalizing them more than what they were before, will ultimately result in the discussion and implementation, introduction and implementation of laws such as inheritance tax in future?
See, in this country, there are certain policies which are meant to be for the marginalized section of the society, but unfortunately, this has been not highlighted, neither highlighted nor implemented wholeheartedly, honestly in this country, because the implementation party lies to the bureaucrat of the society, and we understand who are the bureaucrat and who have captured the judiciary in this country. So that's the sociological explanation of that answer. But those policies which are against the common masses of the societies, and which are benefiting the industrial classes in the society, which has been implemented very successfully in this country. I would cite one example. We should remember 2002 and 1, where Birla Ambani report came, where it talks about the privatization of higher education and opening up of private campuses in this country. 2020 new education policy has been implementing all those recommendations given by Birla Ambani report. So those policies has been taken up by the social elite of this country because that suits their policy. So my understanding of the whole Indian politics is those leaders and political parties who claims to represent the politics of the marginalized section of the society, they should take up such issues very seriously. Otherwise, some other measures, some other political party of formulation, they will come and they will take up those issues, like Samajwadi Party, RJD or BSP. They should take up those issues which directly benefit to the marginalized section, their voters in this country. So in future, of course, they started realizing. Let's see what is their future, what is the future of this nation.
Friends, we were hearing Dr. Chandrasen's opinion about the inheritance tax and the way the discussion took place around this issue, the way Sam Pitroda was sidelined and his proposal of introduction of the inheritance tax was sidelined. He has clearly said that whether this is seriously discussed in 2024 General Assembly election or not, by 2029 election, like in 5 years, people will automatically be trained in such a way that they will take up their issues which will directly benefit them, which will directly change the scenario of India and the way even in academia discussion about marginalization takes place. Chandrasen, thank you very much for speaking on such an important issue which has been sidelined, which propped up but sidelined, unfortunately, both by the ruling party and the opposition party. Thank you very much. Thank you, friends. If you like my channel, subscribe it, like it and share it. I will try my best to bring all your issues, most important issues of the common people, one after another. Thank you very much.